Hello, how are you doing today? It's your dividend friend. Listen, I want you to kind of pay attention to this chart here. I am working these numbers for someone, and I'm telling you, I hope you can see what I'm seeing. As you can tell, they have really good income. Look at their income here. They're bringing in $7,500 a month, pretty good income. Their expenses are $5,200 a month. Now, remember, when we talk about debt freedom and how we can actually capitalize and get out of debt as soon as we can, I see a scenario here where they're actually bleeding. They're bleeding with two credit cards, that Chase and a Discover card. Notice that they're actually paying, I think the Chase is at $223. They owe $4,052 on that Chase account. If they stuck with that payment plan, it's going to take them approximately about 18 to 24 months to pay off that Chase account, doing it that way. Remember, Chase is winning because they're getting all that interest in the beginning. Over that 18-month period, they're going to get interest as they're paying it down. Look at the Discover card. Discover's at $6,207. They're paying $212. That's going to take them between 30 to 36 months to pay it off. That is 3 years. Does not make sense. Notice how much they have in positive cash flow. Remember, with Velocity Banking, we always use the cash flow, the positive cash flow. That is your money left over after you pay all of your bills. This person here has no reason to have, oh my gosh, I'm paying these debts. These are my bleeding debts. You don't have any reason to do that. We're looking at $2,300 in cash flow. Now, I want you to notice this person here. You don't know the backstory, but this chart considers their expenses are having fun, date nights, pedicures, manicures, getting their hair done, getting their nails done. All that is coming out of that $5,200 with their expenses, right? They're sitting on $2,300. Now you may say, well, they got that money, Remember, when you have money sitting around, you don't designate and you don't target that money towards action goal, you are going to typically spend that money. That's why people say, you know what, I have more month than I have money, because they're not using their financial means in a wise way. With Velocity Banking, it teaches us to utilize that cash flow, that positive cash flow, to run down any debt. Why would you continue to pay $223 over 18 months? Why? When you have that cash flow, you can target it to that and pay it off in no time. Look at this right here. They're paying $212 a month, and they owe $6,207. That's going to take them nearly 3 years to pay that off. That makes no sense. Like I said, you can be a high earner making great money, but if you know how to utilize and put your money in the right place, it's almost like throwing money into an empty penny bank. You're not going to use it to the best of your ability. And like I always say, if money's just sitting around, unless you target it to something, you are going to waste that money. You're going to find out, you're going to find yourself dipping in there to go get this new pair of shoes, dipping in there to get this new purse, or going to get this new expensive luxury item that you think that you need to have. You shouldn't do that, only because you have positive cash flow. Get rid of all of this right here. If they were to get rid of that 212 and that 236, they would have an extra cash flow of, let's see, $435 a month on top of that $2,300 once they annihilate it. What I'm going to propose is, let's go ahead and let's begin to pay that down with a positive cash flow. If you take these combined together, their debts are what? We're looking at 59. Look like they're at $10,259 in debt. Excuse me, you guys. I'm going to move it here. They're at $10,259 in debt. That's what they owe. Between those two revolving lines of credit, those two loans that they have, they owe $10,259, but they're bringing in $2,300 positive cash flow. I'm going to propose, if they went ahead and paid that off, that $2,300, let's divide that by that $10,259, they can be out of debt in 4.6 months. Basically 5 months, they're out of debt. I'm going to tell you what I'm having them do. I'm going to suggest it. Remember, I'm just a voice, but you have to make the choice that's right for you. Why don't you just go ahead, use your positive cash flow, directly targeted towards these debts. If you went ahead and let's go with number one. Let's go ahead and let's throw that $2,300 into that 4052. You can tell, you guys, by just basically throwing 2 months in there, you're going to be at $4,600. It's only going to take you 2 months to get out of debt for this one here. You're going to just take, instead of making that bare minimum $236 a month. I'm going to propose that you throw all of that cash flow into your debt. You can knock this debt out in basically 1 month, maybe a month and a half. You'll have $600 left over. Do that, you guys. Don't just have that money sitting there and say, well, I got this money in the bank. Knock out your debts. That's being debt free, because now you've X'd out this card in basically a month and 3 weeks, you've annihilated that debt. Let's look at this 212. Instead of making that 212 over a 36-month period, knock it out. Take this $2,300, throw it directly into that $6,000. As you can tell, if they were to do that, that debt would be gone here in about 2.5 months. So you take that 2.5 and that about a month and a half, they'd be out of debt. I told you in about 4.6 months. Basically 5 months, they have no more debt. So when they get done doing that, you guys, that positive cash flow, they have released $435 extra. So they're going to be at $2,300 cash flow within a 5-month period. And then they have $435 to add to that. They're going to be at $2,735 in positive cash flow. This is where they're going to be at. So after all their bills are paid, they're sitting on $2,735. You guys, I'm not making these numbers up. I'm just showing you. So when we talk about causing your money and making your money work for you, with Velocity Banking, it's just knowing how to work your numbers and how to pay down your debts. These people, what they call high earners, they're bringing in $7,500 a month, paying their bills. They're doing a good job paying all those bills and those things, those obligations, but they're sitting on $2,300 a month. Target that to paying off your debt. Don't get in that debt cycle of saying, I'm making my credit card payments, I'm making them on time, but you still have debt and you're still giving the credit card company extra interest. Let's not do that anymore. Let's make a mind shift change. Let's decide that to be truly debt free is mean you don't have bills, you don't have a credit card. And I'm going to propose something. I always try to give you a little nugget. I'm going to propose that because you're bringing home $2,735 a month left over, throw that money into a high yield savings account. Places like Everbank, places like SoFi, they offer high yield savings account. Remember, that's all tied to the interest rate, because interest rates are now dropping. Of course, you don't get maybe the 5% interest rates, but still, if you're doing a high yield savings account, if they were to put this money in the bank, that $2,735 every single month, take that, basically looking at times 12, they're looking at nearly saving $3,000 extra a year. Just that alone, going in a savings account. And then get this, I'm sorry, you guys, I'm sorry, I meant to say 3,000. They're actually saving about $25,000 a year in a high yield savings account. So can you imagine how much they're going to get back per month in that? Just by putting that $2,735 in there, times it by, when we say 5% interest rate, you're going to pocket at least maybe $10 or $15 extra a month. That is money that you're not doing anything for. It's just sitting in your bank account and it's actually accumulating. It's actually what they call compounding interest, because you're being paid because it's sitting in an interest-bearing account, which is your high-yield savings account. And people may say, well, you know what? It's sitting in a high-yield, it's sitting in a regular savings account. I got my savings, but your savings isn't working for you. I've done it. I know. You may have $10,000 in that bank for a whole year. You're probably going to get maybe $10 back. I've done it, so I know what I'm talking about. Consider using a high-yield savings account. As I said, with these people here, they're probably going to be at $25,000 in their high-yield savings account at the end of the year. Now, let's say that it was at 5%, 2025, 5%. They have $25,000. They're going to bring home, they're going to actually average probably about $100 extra a month on this alone, just by sitting in a high-yield savings account. Not a regular savings account, but a high-yield savings account through either Everbank or SoFi. Those are the best ones now. People say, well, they're not a brick and mortar. It doesn't matter. Oftentimes they're not a brick and mortar because they don't have the overhead of a brick and mortar, but they're still FDIC insured, which means if you have at least $250,000 down, if the banks were to bottom out, you would still not lose your investment. You will still not lose your money. Someone's going to propose Don't just sit down and think, well, I have all this great money, this great income. I only have 2 credit cards. Eliminate the credit card debt. Pay it down, pay it off. That's what we talk about when say we're debt free. And now you have $435 that you freed up. I'm going to just, like I said, make the suggestion. You decide what you're going to do. Throw that into a high yield savings account. Almost $3,000 a month that you're putting away in your savings account. And you're actually drawing money on it because you have a high yield savings account. So you're actually making money. That's what we call making your money work for you. I'm your dividend friend. I'm here until you win. I hope you can see this is a winning strategy. High earners, even the highest of earners sometimes don't put their money to work for them. They use it in kind of a ridiculous way, or they don't use it at all. I'm proposing twofold. Pay off your debt, the extra that you have going into a high yield savings account to bring back a residual return every single month. www.dividend-friend.com. I do free consults. I do consultations, not free. I do consultations. Thank you.